Howdy and welcome to Wildwestfaces. This episode is about a Native American named Waterman. He was part of the Arapaho tribe. He was with a small war party looking for Shoshones and other unfriendly Native Americans. Well, he ended up getting kidnapped by the Sioux. As a prisoner, they were finally able to convince them that they were not working for the white man, as the Sioux suspected. So they were given a little bit of freedom, but not entirely released. As prisoners yet, they actually witnessed the Battle of the Little Bighorn. Listen to his telling of the story of what took place at the Battle of the Little Bighorn here in Wild West Faces. The Arapaho warrior Waterman gives his account of finding himself at the Battle of the Little Bighorn. A long time ago, when I was a young man, it was the custom of the young Indians to go on small war parties looking for Shoshones or other unfriendly tribes. If our medicine was good, we sometimes returned to camp with a scalp or a number of ponies. Sometimes when an Indian slept, he would keep his best horse at the door of his teepee, holding in his hand the rope to which the horse was tied. It was considered a very brave deed for an Indian to slip into an enemy camp at night and cut the rope of a horse outside a teepee and ride him away. I had lived 22 snows at the time of the great battle on the Little Bighorn River. That was a long time ago, but my mind is clear, and I will tell you all I know about that battle. There were 5 of us Arapahos in that fight. 3 have joined the spirits of their fathers, and now only Left Hand and I, Waterman, still live. Soon we too must go to the long sleep, and no one will be alive to tell the story, so I will tell you. The one the Arapahos call their soldier chief. Everything just as I saw it, and nothing that is not the truth. The Arapahos were camped at Fort Robinson, where they drew their rations from the government, and I, with 4 other young bucks, slipped out of the agency to go on a scouting party for Shoshones. With me were Yellow Eagle, Yellow Fly, Well Knowing One, and Left Hand. We rode north into the buffalo country, and one day near the Little Bighorn River, we met a small party of Sioux. They told us that the Sioux were going to have a sun dance and said that we should come along with them to the Sioux village and have a good time. Afterward, I learned that these Sioux thought we were scouts for the white soldiers. We rode along with them, and as we came near the village, a great many Sioux came out of the camp to meet us. They took all our guns away and made us prisoners, saying that we were scouts of the white man and that they are going to kill us. That night we were guarded so we could not escape, and in the morning, Two Moon, chief of the Cheyenne, learned we were Arapahos, so he went to the Sioux chiefs and made them give us back our guns and set us free. The Cheyennes and the Arapahos have always been brothers. The Sioux gave us our guns, but they kept a close watch on us so we could not get away. We remained in the Sioux camp and saw the sun rise twice. Then the whole village moved farther down the river and made another camp. It was the biggest camp I ever saw. There were thousands of warriors. I do not know how many. When the sun came up again, that was the day of the fight. When I reached the top of the hill, I saw Custer. He was dressed in buckskin, coat and pants, and was on his hands and knees. He had been shot through the side, and there was blood coming from his mouth. He seemed to be watching the Indians moving around him. 4 soldiers were siding up around him, but they were all badly wounded. All the other soldiers were down. Then the Indians closed in around him, and I did not see any more. Most of the dead soldiers had been killed by arrows, as they had arrows sticking in them. The next time I saw Custer, he was dead, and the Indians were taking his buckskin clothes. The Indians were quarreling, each trying to take the clothes away from the other. I don't know who got them. The fight was all over when the sun was there about 3 o'clock. The squaws then crossed the river and began taking the clothes off the dead soldiers. Sometimes one that was not yet dead would move a little, and the squaws would become frightened and scatter. What the squaws did to the dead soldiers I do not know, because I did not go back and see. I saw many soldiers who were scalped, but I don't know if Custer was scalped or not, because I went back across the river to the camp after the fight was over. Hello and welcome to Wildwestfaces. Today's episode talks about the Battle of the Little Bighorn. But this is not talking about the men who fought in that battle, but more so centers upon the items that were found after the Battle of the Little Bighorn. You see, after a battle that immense, there were weapons of all kinds laying all over the fields. These relics are detailed in this video, showing you photos of the guns and bullets and many other items that were located on the battlefield. We hope you enjoy this episode here on Wildwestfaces.
Here are 26 arrows retrieved from the body of one of the troopers after the battle. This is a Colt .45 single-action Army revolver found on the battlefield years later. Custer's Crow Scouts, Harry Moccasin, white man runs him and goes ahead, reenact, firing into the huge Sioux and Cheyenne village during the battle. This Springfield trapdoor carbine was taken from a dead trooper. It was in the Sioux warrior's family until the 1950s. This Colt, 1860 model revolver was found in 1935. It was found half buried in the riverbank. No doubt this was dropped by a warrior, as the soldiers were using the newer Colt single-action Army. Horse bones, horseshoes, leather tack, and other relics await burial in 1877. Stumphorn, an old Cheyenne warrior, holds a carbine he captured at the battle 44 years before. The Little Bighorn battlefield became a tourist attraction in the years after the battle. Many of the relics laying on the surface were taken back to homes across the states. This 1877 photograph shows horse bones on Last Stand Hill. Small timber stakes can be seen in the ground, the first markers of where a trooper fell. Horse bones found on Last Stand Hill in the 1940s. The bones were found while digging a trench for a pipe. Penknives found on the battlefield. A trooper's boot found after the battle. The monument was filled with horse bones found around the battlefield. Relics from both sides found on the battlefield. The high bluffs Custer rode above on his way to the village. As the location of the battlefield was so remote, bones were left on the surface for over a year before they were buried. Southwest section of the Reno-Benteen battlefield, center of background, is where Reno's troops first crossed the Little Bighorn River and were attacked by the Sioux Indians.